David Horowitz is a radical right winger who, in my mind, is most notable for once telling Dave Rubin in an interview that Barack Obama was a communist. And this came up during my interview with Dave Rubin years ago, which I'll play for you in a little bit. Now, since then, I've not even heard the name David Horowitz mentioned, but he resurfaced yesterday on right-wing propaganda network Newsmax to say that the WHO, the World Health Organization, is also a communist organization run by a, quote, terrorist. Let's dig into it. And there's actually, this allows me to tell you some things about what's going on at the WHO. Let's take a look at the first clip.
You know, is this, do you think, part and parcel of their whole program here? You say it's just about control. Is it really just about control?
The Chinese communists, whom the Democrats defended during the virus, who one of Biden's first acts was to give them $500 million to that communist organization, WHO, the World Health Organization. It's run by an actual terrorist. That's the first thing that they did was to blame Trump for using the word China virus. We know the president has a hammer over him because of the criminal activities of his son. Nancy Pelosi has huge investments in China. She's protecting Eric Swalwell, who not only slept with a Chinese communist spy, but allowed her to build his political career. He sits on the Intelligence Committee. These are incredibly disturbing facts about the Democrat Party. Now,
well, we know, David, that if Biden's not going to talk about Hong Kong and Taiwan with China, those things are off the table. This isn't going to come up in this meeting either. We'll have to leave it there for now. Great to see you as always, David. We're out of time up against a commercial break.
So David Horowitz is now 82 years old, and his one line is the same one as it was when he was 72 and when he was 62. Anyone he doesn't like is a communist. And just about everything that David Horowitz said there is false. Remember that Eric Swalwell handled the Chinese spy situation 100% correctly. Eric Swalwell was notified by authorities. This woman you had a relationship with, what we believe was a Chinese spy. And he immediately turned over all the information he had, cooperated fully, and he's not even been accused of any wrongdoing. So Horowitz mentions Eric Swalwell. The interview isn't even really about Eric Swalwell. That's just like an aside. Here is David Horowitz years ago saying that Barack Obama is also a communist. This is just his go-to.
This is why I say Barack Obama is a communist. He was raised by communists. His whole political career until he became a United States senator was in the communist left. I mean, I know these people. If you are part of a movement that you know is evil, the first thing you want to do is warn other people about it, especially when it's so deceptive. It talks about social justice and all this crap. Anyway.
No, well, I mean, but
he hasn't. So that's how you know what his allegiances are.
And so, of course, Barack Obama is not a communist. And back then, I actually asked Dave Rubin about this. When I said to Dave Rubin, you know, sometimes you don't push back when people say crazy things. And he said, well, what's an example of that? And I cited that exact interview with David Horowitz. And here's how it went with Dave Rubin.
Now, when David Horowitz, in this specific instance, when he said that communist thing, I was in that particular case, I was about to stop him. But you're right. He then did quickly. He like sort of said it. It was right at the top of the interview. He kind of flew right into something else. And then the conversation just went from there. Mm-hmm. I do remember thinking in the interview that I wanted to get back to it. But in the course of an hour conversation, or I think that one was almost an hour and 20 minutes, sometimes something's going to get lost.
The hilarious part is that Horowitz didn't go right into something else, as Dave Rubin says. David Horowitz, in fact, sort of like paused, and Dave Rubin could have asked him about, well, in what ways is Barack Obama a communist? It was Rubin who chose to move on. So David Horowitz is known for calling anything he doesn't like communism and anybody he doesn't like a communist. And interestingly, nobody seems interested in confronting David Horowitz about it. Now, I don't know if they're intimidated by him or they like people being called communists. I don't know. At one point, David Horowitz was actually considered by some on the right a conservative intellectual, if you can imagine that. Now, to be thorough, Horowitz also claims in the Newsmax clip that the WHO is run by a terrorist. There actually is some story to tell you about there. The WHO is run by Tedros Adhanom. Tedros Adhanom, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who's an Ethiopian biologist. The allegation has been made that Tedros, when he was one of the officials in control of the Ethiopian security services from 2013 to 2015, was the allegations range from indifferent to all the way up to involved in sanctioning the killing and torturing of Ethiopians that took place. Now, this is an allegation that a few people have made, some of whom have sort of questionable credibility and questionable motives as well. The allegations haven't determined anything. I'm glad for it to be investigated, but to casually call Tedros a terrorist absent anything other than an allegation seems to be a bit much, but they don't care. This is what they do. So David Horowitz, using a very common right-wing trope that it seems to actually poll well because it's repeated so often by right-wingers. Anybody you don't like is a communist. And we saw how effective it was leading up to the 2020 elections. We saw how frequently you would just go, our friend Michael Schur would go to Trump rallies and interview people. And they had the vocabulary, they had the language. They very quickly would go to Biden's a communist, Biden's a socialist. And we know that it sticks. And maybe that's why David Horowitz loves it so much. One of our sponsors is Vincero Watches, giving you 15% off. A high quality wristwatch is the perfect way to elevate your style. Own at least one watch that makes you feel great when you put it on. You can often see me wearing my Vincero watch on the show. Mine is the gunmetal vessel model. I'm a big fan of the metallic look of the face of the watch. I like the silicone strap. You won't find a better made watch for this good a price anywhere else. When you put it on, you know you got more than you paid for. Vincero believes in crafting super quality watches from high-end materials, but selling them at fair prices, which is why they have over 26,000 five-star reviews. And they stand behind every watch they make with a 1-year return policy and 5-year warranty. They'll give you 15% off everything in their store and free shipping at davidpakman.com/watch. Use the coupon code Pakman.